Hello, my name's Cliff Stevenson and I'm the Helpful Economist. There's a strong belief amongst our decision makers that UK inflation is going to go down again significantly at some point. The Bank of England's job is to get it back to 2%, so there is a belief that it will get back to this rate. The truth is that no one really knows the future, but I think there's three reasons why inflation is here to stay. The first one is the market mechanism. Inflation isn't just an arbitrary thing, it reflects what's happening in the market. Inflation comes about when demand is greater than supply. This is just basic economics. Our economic system is based on the fact that the market determines prices according to supply and demand. So prices adjust when supply and demand are not in balance. If prices go up, it means simply that demand is greater than supply. So current inflation can be explained by supply and demand. Obviously, we've had these temporary shocks to the economy through COVID and the Ukraine war, which have affected markets and have temporarily increased prices. We also have labour market shortages, which is creating an upward pressure on wages. And the truth is that we either have faith in the market or not. Just as an aside, my view is that although the market mechanism is very useful in certain sectors, we have too much market in the UK. If the state has ownership of essential facilities such as utilities and transport, etc., it has much more control over key prices. And so in my view, limiting the market mechanism in the economy would be desirable. But that's a subject for another video. The latest inflation figures show that the impact of COVID and the Ukraine war has now peaked and inflation is falling. However, core inflation is still increasing. Core inflation excludes energy and food prices, so it's taken those temporary shocks out of the equation, and it shows that there are more fundamental price pressures in the economy. As I said, the labour market is definitely one. Wages need to increase to attract people into the labour market, to attract people into jobs, and this in itself is inflationary. The second reason why inflation is here to stay is that inflation is sticky downwards. Inflation increases quickly, but it decreases at a much slower rate. In one of its recent reports, the Bank of International Settlements says that once an inflation psychology sets in, it is hard to dislodge. And this is certainly true. It's like there's an inflationary mindset. Now, companies are being accused of profiteering or greedflation, and it's no doubt that a lot of the inflation is due to companies increasing their profits by increasing prices. But of course, this is the raison d'etre of companies. This is the type of economic system we live in. It's an opportunity to make profits, and companies have taken advantage of that. Now, the Bank of England is surprised by the persistence of inflation and how long it's going to continue to last. And actually, the evidence shows that an increased interest rate today takes 1 to 2 years to have its peak effect. Even the Bank of England explicitly say this. The chief economist of the bank said in a recent speech that the peak effect on inflation of a change in bank rate today occurs at a horizon of somewhere between 12 and 24 months. This is quite shocking that interest rate increases today are going to take up to 2 years to work. So this means that high inflation and high interest rates are here to stay for at least 1 to 2 years. The chart shows the official bank rate, which is currently at 5%, and it's expected to keep increasing to a peak of 6.25% at the end of this year. But it's not expected to come down that significantly, even in 2 years. Summer 2025, the market still expects it to be 5.5%. So this pessimistic scenario has actually been confirmed by the Bank of England governor this week, and there's no doubt that current policy is going to take a long time to reduce inflation. The third reason why inflation is here to stay is permanent changes that have taken place in the economy. As I said earlier, you can't buck the market. The market mechanism is such that when demand and supply changes, prices will adjust. And there are certain developments that mean that prices are going to increase significantly in the coming years. Some of these key developments are, firstly, Brexit. Brexit has caused an impact on import prices due to the friction on importing products from the rest of the EU, which has already had a dramatic effect on import prices from the EU and will continue to do so. The second permanent change is the de-risking reshoring, where companies are reducing their reliance on risky supply chains from China and other risky markets like Russia. Now, this involves bringing manufacturing back into Europe or the US, and it has potentially many benefits, but it's definitely going to be more expensive than importing from cheaper countries like China and Russia. So this is going to be causing inflation as this trend develops. And the third point is net zero policies. New environmental technologies are expensive. So all companies are working on improving their environmental performance, but this is going to increase their costs and their prices. And the other point here is that previously cheap sources of products, like China, for example, with low environmental standards, are going to become more expensive as environmental standards improve in those countries. So even though some of these points are very desirable policy, desirable developments, they will be more expensive and they will cause inflation. So in conclusion, we can say that price increases reflect underlying economic factors. Our system relies on the market mechanism, and we shouldn't be surprised when prices go up or down. There is a stickiness in prices going down, so it is going to take a while for prices to adjust back downwards. Interest rates take a long time to work. But most significantly, there are permanent changes to our economy which will increase prices. So inflation is likely to remain high for the foreseeable future. I hope you found this information useful. My name's Cliff Stevenson. I'm the Helpful Economist. See you next time.